The Nürburgring 24 hours has been running since 1970, 56 years of racing, over 150 corners per lap, 25 kilometers of forest and blind crests and height changes that make every other circuit on Earth feel like a parking lot. In all that time, through oil crises and a global pandemic and fields as small as 97 cars, this race never once sold out. Then Max Verstappen put his name on the entry list. Weekend tickets gone, campsites full. Organizers publicly warning fans not to show up without a ticket because there is simply no room left. One driver did what 56 years of history could not. The race director did not sugarcoat it. Fans had completely overrun the event. For the first time in the race's history, organizers had to cap ticket sales and tell people that if they did not already have a valid weekend pass, they should not drive to the Nürburgring on Saturday. No tickets would be sold at the gates. There was nowhere to park. There was nowhere to camp. The narrow roads through the Eifel countryside were already backed up with camper vans on Monday of race week. The Nordschleife sits in a stretch of German forest with limited access roads, limited parking, and a viewing area that stretches across roughly 25 kilometers of hillside. Fans do not sit in grandstands here. They camp in tents along the tree line at corners like Brunchen and Flansgarten and the Carousel. They cook bratwurst on portable grills and watch cars fly past at 3 in the morning through fog so thick you can barely see the headlights. That is the culture of this race. It has always been a festival first and a sporting event second, and that festival has a hard ceiling on how many people the land can hold. Previous years drew as many as 280,000 fans across the weekend without hitting that ceiling. This year, it broke. So what changed? One name on an entry list: Nürburgring, Germany, May 2026. Max Verstappen is not here because he has to be. He is here to race 24 hours on the most dangerous circuit in motorsport, in a car he has driven exactly 6 times in competition, against 40 of the best GT3 crews on Earth. And he is doing it because Formula 1 is making him miserable. Verstappen has not been quiet about his feelings toward the sport that made him a 4-time world champion. The 2026 rules, with their heavy focus on battery harvesting and electric power, changed the way F1 cars drive in ways that Verstappen finds wrong at a basic level. The new rules are anti-racing, in his view. Anyone who enjoys driving under these rules does not understand what racing is about. And then came the line that got the most attention. Mario Kart, the reigning champion of Formula 1, the most dominant driver of his era, publicly comparing his own sport to a video game. The F1 leaders pushed back, insisting drivers' comments can be taken the wrong way. Red Bull's motorsport advisor Helmut Marko was more honest about it. Verstappen had lost interest in F1 during the 2025 season, and rather than fight it, Marko backed the Nürburgring program. A happier Verstappen is a faster Verstappen. The gain came out to roughly 0.2 of a second per lap back in the F1 car. 0.2. Because the driver was having fun on weekends instead of grinding through simulator sessions he openly hated. The Nürburgring 24 hours became the answer to a question Verstappen had been asking himself for years. He sees the Nordschleife as unlike any other track on Earth, and the 24-hour race had been on his bucket list since long before he had the freedom to chase it. His love of racing has never been limited to Formula 1. He has always wanted something more raw and old school, and the Nordschleife is the purest form of that urge anywhere in racing. After climbing out of his GT3 car during a warm-up race earlier in 2026, he put it plainly: "It's just reminding me what real motorsport is like. I jump out of the car and I'm happy, and that's what I'm trying to chase, instead of coming out of the car and being frustrated." Verstappen did not just show up and enter the race cold. His path to the 24-hour start line took over a year of planned, step-by-step work. The Nordschleife requires a specific German motorsport authority permit that every driver must earn, no matter who they are. No shortcuts, no special treatment. Verstappen went through the same steps as every other driver on the grid. His first real-world Nordschleife outing came in September 2024, driving a lower-powered GT4 car in a Langstrecken Serie race. That was the permit-earning step, the very start of the path. A year later, in September 2025, he stepped into a GT3 car for the first time at the Nordschleife. Langstrecken Serie Round 9, a 4-hour endurance race. He shared a Ferrari 296 GT3 with Chris Lullum under the Verstappen.com racing banner. Verstappen took the lead at turn 1 from third on the grid, built a 65-second gap over a double stint, and handed the car to Lullum with a lead so large it was almost impossible to lose. It was the first time newcomers had ever won outright at the Nordschleife in the Langstrecken Serie. First race, first win. On the most punishing circuit in the world, March 2026 brought Langstrecken Serie Round 2. This time in the car he would race at the 24 hours, a Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo under his own Verstappen racing entry, run by Winward Racing. He took pole, he led from lights to flag, he won on the road, and then his team was thrown out after the finish for a tyre rule breach. The result wiped from the records, the pace impossible to ignore. April brought the 24-hour qualifying races, where the story took a darker turn. Verstappen led for 90 minutes in the first qualifier before car problems ended his run. That same race was marked by tragedy when 66-year-old Finnish driver Juha Miettinen was lost in a 7-car incident on the Nordschleife. A reminder, in the worst possible way, that this track does not care who you are or what class you race in. Verstappen accepted the danger head-on. He knows a serious crash is possible at the Nordschleife. He is not afraid of it. Every time he climbs out of the car after a session on this track, he feels happy. That feeling is what he is chasing, and he sees the risk as worth it. 6 real-world Nordschleife race entries over 12 months, from a GT4 permit run to a GT3 debut win to a 24-hour start, all while racing a full Formula 1 season. And the work did not stop at the real track. The base underneath all of this is virtual. Verstappen has been a member of Team Redline, one of the most successful sim racing outfits in the world. Since 2015, he has logged thousands of laps on a virtual Nordschleife. He has raced this circuit more times on a simulator than most real-world Nordschleife regulars have raced it in real life. In May 2024, Verstappen won the Formula 1 Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola on Sunday. That same weekend, he and his Team Redline teammates won the iRacing 24 Hours of the Nürburgring in a virtual BMW M4 GT3. He ran a custom simulator that was shipped to the Imola circuit inside a flower delivery van after the original plan fell through. The man is a racing machine that does not have an off switch. In March 2026, Verstappen folded Team Redline into his own brand, renaming the whole outfit as Verstappen Sim Racing. The point is not the name change, it is the path he is building. Chris Lolum, his co-driver in that Langstrecken Serie debut win, came straight through Team Redline's sim racing ranks. Lolum won 16 of 18 races in Radical Cup UK in 2024, then stepped up to GT World Challenge, and then to the Nordschleife itself. He went from a sim racing seat to a GT3 race win alongside a 4-time world champion in under 2 years. Verstappen is not running a hobby team. He is building a race team with a driver training path that starts in sim racing and ends at the sharp end of real-world GT racing. That is closer to the Penske or Andretti model than to the one-off guest entries the motorsport world has seen before. For the 24 hours itself, Verstappen is entered as car number 3. The car is a Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo, painted in Red Bull colors. Red Bull paint on a Mercedes car, backed by both Red Bull's business side and Mercedes-AMG's factory racing arm. In any other setting, those two brands do not play nicely together. Verstappen chose Mercedes because the working relationship fits and the chances came along at the right time. His 3 co-drivers are all Mercedes-AMG factory-level experts with deep Nordschleife know-how. Danny Juncadella from Spain, 35. A former Williams and Force India F1 test driver who won the 2012 Formula 3 Euro Series title. He races World Endurance Championship Hypercar with Genesis and has 6 prior Nürburgring 24 hours starts. Jules Gounon, 31. The 2017 German GT Masters champion, who won back-to-back GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup titles with Mercedes-AMG. He has 5 Nürburgring 24 hours starts, including a podium. And Lucas Auer, a German Touring Car Championship regular and the 2025 title runner-up. Auer is the nephew of former F1 driver Gerhard Berger. He and Verstappen raced against each other in the 2014 Formula 3 European Championship. Verstappen finished 3rd, Auer finished 4th. 12 years later, they are teammates. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe. We cover Formula 1 and motorsport stories like this every week. So the driver is ready, the team is sharp, and the co-drivers are among the best GT racers on the planet. Now look at what they are up against. 161 cars, the largest entry list since 2014, and a huge jump from the 97 car field during the pandemic-hit 2020 race. 41 of those cars compete in SP9, the top GT3 class. 9 different car makers at the sharp end: Aston Martin, Audi, BMW, Ferrari, Ford, Lamborghini, McLaren, Mercedes, AMG, and Porsche, all fighting on the same 25-kilometer circuit for 24 hours. The defending winners are Rao Racing, running BMW M4 GT3 Evos with Augusto Farfus, Raffaele Marciello, and both van der Linde brothers split across 2 entries. Mande Racing enters their 30th year chasing a record-breaking 8th overall win with Kevin Estre and Thomas Praining in a Porsche 911 GT3R. And this year, the qualifying format is new. A 3-stage knockout system built on the same idea as Formula 1's Q1, Q2, Q3 setup. The 20 fastest advance, up to 12 fight for pole. F1 fans watching this race for the first time will know the format right away. Below the GT3 battle is the field that gives this race its soul. Porsche Cayman Cup cars, 17 of them. BMW M240 i1 make entries, 11. Touring car class entries. And at the very bottom of the entry list, a single Dacia Logan. 50 Porsches, 43 BMWs, 7 Toyotas, 1 Dacia. The Nürburgring 24 Hours is the only major endurance race on Earth where a four-time F1 world champion in a factory-backed GT3 supercar shares the same strip of tarmac at the same time with someone racing a budget hatchback, both of them running the full 24 hours, both of them earning their place on the grid. The circuit itself is the biggest wildcard in all of motorsport. The combined layout stretches 25.378 kilometers per lap, with over 300 meters of height change. The Duttinger Hohe straight alone is over 2 kilometers long, where GT3 cars hit 300 kilometers per hour before diving back into the forest. Weather can swing between dry sunshine and thick fog within a single lap. The 2024 race managed just 50 laps in under 10 hours of green flag racing because fog swallowed the Nordschleife completely. 1 year before that, the race set the all-time longest distance of 162 laps, over 4,000 kilometers, 50 laps to 162, same track, 1 year apart. That tells you everything about the Nordschleife. The race has run since 1970. That first edition drew 99 entries. Only 54 finished. Hans-Joachim Stuck and Clemens Schickentanz won in a Kepchen BMW tuning car. Stuck would go on to race the event 19 times across 4 decades, winning 3 times overall. The race's only Formula One world champion winner is Niki Lauda, who took the win in 1973 in a BMW 3.3 CSL. Lauda was a rising talent then, not yet a champion. He remains the only F1 title holder to have ever won the Nürburgring 24 Hours. In the late 90s, Sabine Schmitz won the race twice in a BMW M3, becoming the first woman to win the event. Over 30 F1 drivers have raced here since 1970. Pedro Lamy holds the record with 5 overall wins. Verstappen arrives with 4 world titles and over 230 Formula One starts. More F1 pedigree than any driver who has ever entered this race. If he wins on his first try, he joins Lauda in a club of 2. And given the way his build-up has gone, from debut wins to pole spots, writing that off would be a mistake. That detail alone would have made a good story, but the sellout turned it into something else entirely. F1 drivers have crossed over to other series before. Fernando Alonso won Le Mans twice with Toyota, while still racing in Formula One. Nico Hülkenberg won Le Mans on his first try with Porsche in 2015, the only modern case of an active F1 driver winning a major endurance classic on first attempt. None of them broke the host event. Alonso's Indy entries boosted global interest, but the 500 was already selling out. Hülkenberg's Le Mans win was buried by the wider race story. The Nürburgring sellout is different in kind, not just size. One name was added to the entry list, and the entire setup of a 56-year-old race hit a wall it had never hit before. Red Bull is showing the full 24 hours live and free on Red Bull Television and their Motorsport YouTube channel. The Nürburgring 24 Hours has always relied on German broadcast deals and pay television. Now it has a global free stream built around the most famous racing driver alive. For endurance racing, which has spent decades fighting for wide attention, this is a door being kicked open. Verstappen himself is keeping media access tight. He and his teammates skipped the usual Wednesday parade through the town of Adenau. No open media time beyond required press meetings. The focus is on the racing, not the circus around it. The wider F1 world is watching closely. Verstappen's Red Bull contract runs to 2028, but is said to contain results-based exit terms. His open excitement for the Nürburgring, mixed with his public criticism of F1's direction, feeds ongoing talk about a possible break or even an earlier exit from Formula One. Ford's coming World Endurance Championship hypercar program for 2027, built on an existing Red Bull engine deal, makes that talk harder to dismiss. Whether the Nürburgring stays a side project or becomes the main event depends entirely on what Formula One looks like in 2027 and 2028. And right now, the champion is not exactly hiding which way excites him more. 3 things stand out about what this sellout truly means. First, the grassroots feel of the race survived the spotlight. 161 cars across 23 classes, from factory GT3 teams down to a Dacia Logan. Verstappen did not arrive and clean up the event. He entered it on its own terms. Second, a crossover star can move the needle for an entire branch of racing in a way that Formula One itself, more and more, cannot. An F1 driver publicly chasing real motorsport somewhere else is a story endurance racing has never been able to tell at this volume. This is a driver with 4 world titles saying the quiet part out loud, and then backing it up with a year of work and a proper racing entry. Third, the Verstappen racing operation is not a hobby project. In 18 months, Verstappen has built a race team spanning GT3, a sim racing arm, and a driver training path that has already produced real-world results through Lulum. This is a racing team with a vision that reaches past a single race weekend. The race starts at 3 in the afternoon on Saturday, local time in the Eifel Mountains. 161 cars will roll off into 24 hours of forest, fog, darkness, and over 150 corners per lap. The most famous racing driver on the planet will share the track with a Dacia Logan. Every camping spot along the Nordschleife is taken. Every access road is full. The organizers have said, publicly, that this has never happened before. What lasts from this weekend is not whether Verstappen wins or crashes or finishes 10th. It is the fact that a race which ran for 56 years without selling out needed nothing more than his name to break a record that had stood since 1970. That is the mark he leaves on the Nürburgring 24 hours, and it reaches far beyond Formula 1.